Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this series of how to calculate and find the best moves. Once again, thank you all for liking, for subscribing, for commenting, for making this channel possible. I plan on playing in my second rapid tournament in the tomorrow night. I will keep you updated how that goes. In my first one, I tied for second place, which was reasonable, out of 17 people. Um, in August, I plan on coming back to regular tournament chess, but I'm going to take a couple of weeks playing rapid for now. Um, okay, so back to this world. When um, we're doing this, try to pause before each puzzle to figure to try to figure this out on your own, and then unpause to compare what you thought with what I think. All right, so we are going to do some hard puzzles. We're already at 30, which is where we stopped last time. Our first puzzle is rated 1739. Um, okay, so one thing to note is if we were able to do this, this would be a checkmate. Now, of course, there is a knight. So there are a couple of possible ways to try to get rid of this knight. This way doesn't quite work because that loses a pin. And if we lose that pin, that means he is going to take our queen. So the logical thought is rook here. He doesn't have to take, but then we want a knight, and we are threatening checkmate. If he takes, let's say with the rook, then we got check. He has to go here, and this is checkmate because our knight covers this square. So again, we get rid of the defender of this square with this rook, and now we check, and then we checkmate. Check, checkmate. Again, this one is rated a little bit lower, 1578. Looking for checks, looking for captures, looking for threats. One thing I noticed is if we take, he takes, we try to queen, he's going to stop us. We can queen anyway. And once we queen and he takes, our knight can go here with a fork. So again, we trade rooks, we threaten to queen, he will stop us, and then we queen anyway, and then we fork. So boom, and now we try to queen, and we're correct. Okay, so this one we're back into the world of 1700s. The first move to consider, again, no checks. This one is terrible, so we'll look at captures. So there is this to consider and this to consider. And well, I'm not entirely sure which one is better right now, actually, because if we take here, he takes back, it looks like we get a knight. If we start by taking the knight, then we get checkmated. So it's important to look at what the opponent can do next. So this is why we're going to start with this. He will take us back, and then we will take the knight. And now we take the knight. Okay, the iron check. The first one which comes to mind is to stop the check with a forcing move. And the other thing to consider is we have the queen on the same diagonal as the king, which means when we move the rook, there will be discovery. So we can take here, for example, we can do that. We can even block with the rook, but that doesn't really help us because he'll just run away. So it seems that blocking with the bishop is better because it's forcing, and after he moves the queen, we will be able to do something over here. So we block, okay, and This is quite reasonable because now he's attacking our queen, so we don't have any amazing discoveries. But I did notice that we have this move. Why do we have this move? Well, he's in check. So if he moves the king, well, we just want a bishop. If he takes us, we throw in this check and in between move. And only after he takes us back, only then do we take here. So boom. And again, we don't take right away because he takes us, but we throw in an in-between move, and only then do we take the queen. And now we take. Okay. This is a bit complicated. The first one which comes to mind is this check. After this check, he has two possible moves. And again, when you're calculating, it's important to ask yourself, what can my opponent do? Not just what you want them to do, but what can they do? And sometimes it's more than one thing. A lot of people would get excited about this fork, which doesn't work for many reasons. That's one of them. So check. He can move the king. He can do this. Okay. If he moves the king, he gets forked. So at least we win a queen. Okay. So if he does that, we have this check. And notice our knight is blocking this square, which is also controlled by the rook, which means queen up will be checkmate. So we do that, and now our queen comes up, and obviously we take. Alright, let's do a couple more. The first one which comes to mind is takes, but then he takes here, and that's the end. We just lose. So our opponent doesn't have to be stupid. So that means we have to try to be a little bit more creative. And one possible move is queen here, which checks, but it also defends the rook. And because it defends the rook, it means it becomes possible to do this on the next move. So we start with this, and now we can take, and this is double attacked, and this is protected. Okay. This one is simple. If you notice, everything is connected to the square. And because everything is connected here, we can sacrifice our queen. After he takes, we take back with the rook, and it's a checkmate. So here, and then rook takes. Okay. So one possible idea could be something like this. And the logic is, again, looking for checks. After he takes, we can play knight here, which is a fork. If he doesn't take, if he moves here, knight here is still a fork. Paying attention to forcing moves is, especially checks, is quite important. So here, and then we fork. Okay, we got our first puzzle rated a little bit over 2000. So what's happening? We are in check. We're down a piece. But he is pinned. So that's important. So we shouldn't rush with this. So one thing we can do is attack this knight. And because he's pinned, he cannot move. Again, always pay attention when pieces are on the same line. And he will be triple attacked, so we will be able to take him. So king here, and we start with the bishop because it's a smaller of the two. And now we take with the rook, and okay, we'll do one last puzzle. So I noticed this guy's on the same line, but at the same time, our queen is also attacked. So if we start with this, he will just take our queen. So that's not fun. So let's think. Okay, so this one is rated a little bit under 2000. Um, So we don't have any good checks with the queen. This is a move to consider. If we move here, um, if he doesn't take with the queen, let's say if he moves the king here, we can take with check, which means our queen does not die. If he moves here, we can still take, because then if he takes our queen, this will be checkmate, because of our bishop. It's also true if he goes here. So now we need to calculate what happens if he takes. So what happens if he takes? Well, we can check with the rook, which will force the king away from his queen, and then we'll be able to take the queen. So again, this is the calculation. So check. If he moves here, we take the queen with check, so our queen survives. If he moves here or here, when we take the queen and he takes our queen, this is checkmate. And if he takes with the queen, we play rook here, which separates his king from his queen. So we start with this, and now we take the queen. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this session. Some of these puzzles were quite hard. Some of them we had to slow down because we did not have an answer right away. But that's what it takes to get better. You will not see everything immediately, and sometimes your first idea will be incorrect, and so you would have to calculate, you would have to think, you would try to come up with something better. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, please subscribe, please wish me luck at my event tomorrow, and I will be back soon.